Keep us updated because we know there's a lot more to this story, and we'll see how it ends up. Thanks, William.
Okay.
Here now to debate, Marc Thiessen is former chief speechwriter for President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor. And Matt Bennett is co-founder of Third Way and former deputy assistant to President Clinton. Good to have you both with us.
Good to be here.
All right, Matt, does this beg the
you.
question that maybe our refugee vetting needs a little tweaking?
Look, we really don't know anything yet about whether this has any implications for policy or not. Senator Johnson's letter was not atypical. Members of Congress do this all the time. Somebody comes in as a whistleblower and they send a letter to the executive branch and say, we want an investigation on this. Sometimes where there's smoke, there's just people blowing smoke, and sometimes there's fire. So we don't know whether this is a real case of a refugee who's a radical or not. It might be. And if that's the case, it needs to be fully investigated in an independent way, which is the very thing that Democrats have been calling on Congress to do when it comes to Russia and other things.
Mark, and I would think that you would agree with that. The last point anyway, maybe not the first part, that this is an outlier of a case.
Yeah, it's not an outlier of a case. In fact, unfortunately, it happens all the time. So in 2015, the Obama State Department testified before Congress that the State Department had accidentally let in almost 10,000 people who later had their visas revoked retroactively because they either had engaged in terrorist activities or had ties to terror. 10,000 people. What that means is almost 10,000 people penetrated our defenses, beat our screening system, and got visas in the country, and then, oops, the State Department figured out we got to revoke their visas. And then when Congressman Chaffetz asked the Obama State Department official, where are they? She said, I don't know. So we lost track of them. We don't know if they're in the United States. We don't know where they are. So this is a major problem in our screening system. Second point is that in last year, CNN and the Washington Post reported that there were 1,800 people who were supposed to be deported for posing national security threats, and instead they were granted citizenship. Citizenship. These are people who were considered too dangerous to enter the United States, and they accidentally gave them the right to vote instead of deporting them. So our screening system is deeply, deeply, deeply broken.
Well, Matt, do you think, we've got this pause now on refugees. The Syrian refugees are not singled out. It's a pause on all refugees, and we've got a ban on travel from other countries. For a while, is it worth taking this pause with all of those numbers and cases that Mark cites? Those are real people. And if we have 10,000 potential terrorist suspects running around this country that we don't know about or don't know where they are or exactly what they're capable of, can you be in favor of the pause? Maybe not, permanent bans, but some time to look at things and get some work done.
Look, Shan, the problem, Mark was talking about a completely different thing. These weren't refugees that he was talking about. These were people coming in on different kinds of visas. The refugee system is actually incredibly rigorous. It takes 2 years. There's like a 20-step process that refugees have to go through. And the overwhelming majority of refugees are desperate people, many of them women and children. Many of them have fought with or served as translators for our troops on the battlefield and are living in enormous danger in some of these countries. So no, I don't think the pause makes any sense. And I think.
But what do you make of the FBI's announcement this week that of 1,000 domestic cases of potential terrorism that they're looking at, 300, they say so that's a third of those cases are people who came here as refugees?
Well, there's a big difference between investigations and arrests. If you look at the data, the overwhelming majority of terrorist attacks in the United States, of which thankfully there have been very, very few, are from people who have lived in the United States, either were born here or were citizens or have lived here for a long time. People who come as refugees very, very rarely commit crimes. People that come as immigrants commit crimes in lower numbers than citizens. So this is not a serious problem, and it's not a good solution.
We're almost out of time, so I want to make sure I give Mark a quick final word here.
Sure, it's not only refugees that are part of the pause. It's other people who are with visas, and the fact is that we know that people who have come here on visas and fooled our screening system have carried out terrorist attacks. The woman in the San Bernardino shooting came here. She beat our screening procedure and killed 14 people. The underwear bomber in 2009, his father went to a U.S. embassy and said, "My son's a terrorist." They didn't revoke his visa. He came in and almost blew up a plane over Detroit. So our screening system needs to be fixed.
All right, Mark and Matt. Good to hear from both of you. Thanks so much tonight. Protests and strikes across the